how can we manage our time better and start actually using it to gain Islamic and secular knowledge in reference to Islam while in university? Any advice that you have for college students?
I think I would prioritize just Arabic language and the Quran because I I memorized probably about 90% of the Quran driving to places in my car. You'll be very surprised what you can achieve in your transportation, like if you're in your car, if you're in your train and stuff like that. And yeah, so just use every moment. And the Quran and the Arabic language because it's going to act like a key to everything else. And there's no, it's like a bahrun la sahila lah. It's a sea with no shore. The Arabic language. So I would focus on just those two things, and obviously like basics everywhere else. But those would be the two areas of focus for me, anyway. That's how it was, and it's I think it's the best approach. And just the ma'ani, the meanings of the Quran, some simple tafsir, some simple. I'll be honest with you. When I was growing up, I listened to Nauman Ali Khan so much, bro. Yeah, I don't know what if you refuted him or not. But for me, he was for me, for me, he was a go-to guy, man. He was. I'll be honest. Some of his stuff was so brilliant, like his Juz Amma. I'm not sure if you ever encountered it. But when I was growing up, I was waiting for him to bring the next one, like the next surah, next surah, next surah, and then eventually he brought up the Bayna TV, and then I listened. He done a whole translation of the Quran. I listened to the whole thing, akhi. So it was actually for me, it was a good resource. Anything to do with Quran, I was just all over it at that particular time. I don't know. I haven't been following him as of recent, but I really like the guy, man. Actually, I owe a lot to him in terms of learning about the surah of the Quran and stuff like that. In terms of when I was growing up, this was about 10, I would say 10, 12 years ago, man. So any resource that helps you understand the Quran in the English language, the meanings of the Quran, the that is the juice. That is the juice. That is the most important thing about Islamic studies. There's nothing higher than that. Knowing the meanings of the Quran Kareem, that is the juice of it. All of the other things you're doing are instruments to understand that juice. It's the qisas of the Quran, the stories, the ibar, all these things are so powerful, and you know it's so enjoyable as well. So make sure that you get involved in that, and just have a program. And I would say, like, for example, if you say to yourself, well, I said I set myself a time. I said I want to do 1 hour of hifz a day. Even if you say I want to do 30 minutes of hifz a day, 30 minutes of memorizing the Quran a day. How do you do the hifz? Like, I would say, listen to Al-Husari, recite it, or Minshawi, or one of the great scholars, and just read the page, listen to him, because I'll be honest, this might sound ridiculous, but I wouldn't ever trust myself to memorize the Quran without listening to it first. No way. I have to listen to it, keep listening, keep listening, keep listening to a whole page, and then start memorizing line by line, you know? And if you do half an hour of that a day, or 45 minutes or an hour, it might take you some time, but you will memorize the Quran. You will memorize it. You get so many juz. You in 6 months, 1 year, you'll be so surprised what you can accomplish. You can memorize 3, 5, 6, 8 juz. You'll be surprised what you can memorize, and then just keep revising that and try and understand the meanings of it and the Arabic language. Someone to teach you a bit of the Arabic language, and the best way to learn Arabic is through speaking it. So I personally believe the communicative method is the best way to learn. So this Medina book style, Yani, it's a good supplement, but if one wanted to depend on that to learn a language, you will fail. I have to be straightforward and honest. I don't think it will be successful.
So
Uh,
where should they where should they communicate, or in what
I think
context? Is
that they
someone
should.
in like the UK or
I
America?
think there are some institutes. We have a website ourselves where we do things electronically, which you can use to start off. It's called criticalcontent.org. Um, the Bayna way, I checked it. It's more of the grammar translation model, which I was a bit surprised about because it's a bit like the Medina book. So he's got he had at that time he had something called Arabic for Husna, his daughter, and it was okay, but I don't think it's the best approach. I
I
don't
think
think.
that approach was for reading, being able to read and understand the Quran, not necessarily speaking it like in or being a scholar even, because I don't think he was aiming for that at that time with the
Yeah, I
program.
don't know if he's yani improved it, but I'm sure he. I don't know. But that particular one wasn't the best, but it's good. Like, you know, if you go through that as well, why not? It's £8 or sterling pounds a month or something like that. Anything which. But the best thing is to speak, to communicate. Like, if there's a book that I would recommend, the two best ones that I've come across for teaching Arabic is, especially for beginners, is Al-Kitab Al-Asasi. Okay, I think that's pretty good because it's a good like pictures and stuff like that. I like it. And Al-Arabiyya Bayna Yadik, which is like literally conversations that you would actually have. And if you just practice the conversations, the dialogues, where is this? What is that? That is a good way that I've found people learn that language. Now, you need to try and practice speaking somehow because you will get the language so much quicker. Reading, obviously, if you don't know how to read, then you have to find someone. There's many places that can do that. You start with that, and then after you've done the qaida baghdadiyya or whatever they call it, then you can move on to like actually trying to formulate sentences, akhi. And you can get it done in anyone can get it done in 6 months to 2 years. And it's good.
Becoming
Like,
fluent, or what do you mean, like being able to understand the Quran in 6 months to 2 years?
like I think that you can start understanding basic meanings of the Quran in 6 months. I think that in terms of I distinguish between fluency and you can be fluent but not conversant. So you can kind of understand what's going on and you can speak a little bit, but would you be able to hold a 1 hour conversation? Not really. So there's a certain level you can get in 6 months of doing, let's say 10 hours a week, 10 hours of pure work a week. For 6 months, you'll get to a certain good level. I think you'll get to a good level. And 2 years, if you're doing it more regularly and stuff like that, and you start delving into it and you start reading books now and listening to Arabic lectures and immersing yourself in that kind of thing, I think you can get it done. And I think it's worth it. This is like what I really recommend, because then it gives you, it liberates you. It allows you to go into books yourself. It allows you to access the scholarly works yourself. It allows you to do these kind of things yourself. Is a really good thing to do. So the Quran, and these two things go hand in hand. Quran and Arabic should be your primary focus. Obviously, you do book of Aqidah, you can do a book of fiqh and stuff, but these should be your two things that you're doing like on a weekly basis. You're putting hours into it. And for 2 years whilst you're doing your university, it's not that bad. In your exam season, when you've got exams for university, you can dial it down a little bit. You don't have to do as much because it's going to be too much work for you. But when it's not like the case, push it up again. So you can do both at the same time. You can do both at the same time. Memorize the Quran, read it, do the Arabic language, and do your studies. It's all possible. You have 168 hours in a week. That is a lot of hours. You can really proportion yourself and do it. I don't see the issue. So that's what I would advise.